Welcome to yet another episode of Not Hex with Blue Bum and 43OG. How are we all? Big hello to people in the chat. What's going on, Bluey?
Hey, brother. I'm not sure if it's your mic, but I heard a kind of vibration when you talked.
A vibration?
Yeah, it sounds pretty bad. Do other people hear that? Or do we even have any other people listening to us?
We have a couple of people listening, I'm sure. So you're saying that my audio is no good?
Yeah, your audio is a little
Look,
bit
there's nothing worse
shit.
than starting a stream with like technical issues.
Checking the audio, I know.
Look, I guarantee you, nothing I say is going to be so critical that people are going to lose sleep over not hearing it properly. So let's get stuck into what we want to talk about today. We actually were going to talk to
Dylan, yeah?
Dylan from Fiat, and he was going to explain to us what Fiat was and how it could be used.
Man, your voice, it's really annoying. Can you just maybe like
Let me
jiggle
just check. Let me just
your
check.
connection or something? Because
No,
Red Squirrel also heard something. Maybe it's unless it's my headphones.
So you can.
That sounds good now. Maybe it was my headphones. I'm just
Okay.
Okay. I'm gonna not do the headphones.
All right. Yes. Okay. All right. Let's start. So we were going to have Dylan from Fiat on to talk to us about Fiat, the protocol, which I believe, like I need it to be explained to me from the beginning because I know nothing about what it is apart from it's got something to do with shorting. I hardly even know what shorting is because I don't play in that sort of.
Yeah.
I hardly even know what it is. I don't. We shouldn't even touch on it. Really, we should let him do all the.
I can give you a very basic. It's a fork of Aave version 2.
Okay.
Which is on Ethereum, and it's basically a lending and borrowing protocol. But I don't think it's got any leverage.
Okay. Because I remember, in the past, people have said, "Wouldn't it be great if people could short Hex on chain?"
Well, you can. I mean, the thing is, I think it's a kind of shorting. But the thing is, you could also just sell it and then buy it back later if you think it's going to go down. You know what I mean? They say it's shorting, and it is shorting, I guess. But what they're doing is they're having some sort of asset. You borrow on that asset something else, and so then if the asset that you're holding goes up in value compared to the thing that you had before, then you can pay back the loan, and then you have more, right? And so what you're betting on is that the asset that you're putting in is going to go down in value compared to the asset that you're getting.
Right.
But you can also just sell. Like you can also just sell it.
Well, look,
to go down in value and then buy it back in.
Yeah.
But that's shorting as well, you know.
We're going to let Dylan explain it to us, and because as I said, I know nothing about this stuff. I don't play with that sort of stuff, but I want to know about it. I want to know what it is because it's just come out. But we're gonna. The reason he couldn't come on this show today was because there's some bad weather in his area. Is unable to make it today. We're going to do it tomorrow morning. So it's going to be 11 a.m. here. So in 20 hours from now, we're going to do it with him in 20 hours from now. So there'll be another show dedicated to explaining what that is tomorrow. So that's going to be good. But what Bluey and I have been looking at is and interested in, and this is not something that's just popped up out of the blue. This is something we've been interested in for years now, is cross-chain swaps. and things like bridges and just the new things that are being developed. And you've done a little bit of research, or you've listened or done some reading, Bluey. Can you tell me what your understanding is of what's happening?
Okay, so like, I'm just, well, like, basically, I've done a little bit of research on what's called layer 0, and people, and there are implementations where they've got this working, and it's out now and it's working. And basically, layer 0 is a messaging system between blockchains. And so, but rather than, yeah, this is probably, I don't want to get too much in the technicals because I'm so unsure of the technicals myself, but you have an oracle and a relayer. But as I understand it, you can be your own oracle. Yeah.
Okay. You can be, yep.
So you can have, or you can use one you trust. But like, as a developer, you could utilize being your own oracle and relayer. So you basically, like, the protocol that they're using it with is called Stargate, and there's actually a number of things that are being developed on it. But Stargate, what it does is it has like stablecoin pools, and it'll have stablecoin pools on a couple of different chains. And so what it does is you can swap between a stablecoin on one chain to a stablecoin on another chain. And because it's a stablecoin, they know the price. And so that's just a way to get from chain to chain.
Is it like a form? Is it something that's based on atomic swaps? Is it a form of? I mean, I had a little bit of a look, and I asked AI.
Oh yeah, what did AI say?
AI said it's a protocol, a new type of protocol on the blockchain. Type of blockchain. It's a new type of blockchain technology that enables the transfer of digital assets between different blockchains. This technology is designed to provide a secure and efficient way to move digital assets between different blockchains, allowing users to take advantage of the features of each blockchain. That's a bit of a la-di-da explanation.
I saw a talk that the head of it or whatever was giving, and she was saying all the right things in terms of immutable contracts.
I saw that as well. She said immutable, permissionless, and censorship resistant. Now, the question is in relation to, the oracles and the relayers which sit in between both chains. The question is there any trust required when utilizing those? And
well, that's why.
And if there is any trust required anywhere there, then you're no better off than just using a good, like a trusted bridge.
Developers can set up their own oracles. That's why it's interesting. So you can, if you want to set up your own oracle, you can. You can trust your own oracle yourself.
You need to trust the code.
But if you're a developer and you're developing on this, yeah, it's whether you I guess then it becomes whether you trust the contracts and the developer. But like, if you've got a project that you want to do some sort of cross-chain thing with, then as a developer you can set up your own oracle. Then that's how you can trust that.
You have to trust the relayer as well.
And the relay, yeah.
So I'm still like, I'm wondering whether they're saying it's trustless and permissionless, but what they've actually done is just shift it down the chain so that trust and permission is somewhere else along the chain of custody along the way. And that's the question I have, because I remember watching a clip. I remember watching a video that Dev Kyle made a couple of years ago, where he addressed this, and he went into all the problems with, like,
bridges,
with bridges, but why you couldn't do atomic swaps with contracts. So, that was an interesting thing. And I've got a little part of that, which I'll play because I think it's relevant to what we're talking about. So let me just bring this up.
So now you're still back to a trusted party. All the solutions that exist use trusted parties of one form or another. There have been papers written about this. This is a very difficult problem, and frankly, it's not that lucrative to solve if people are willing to eat trusted party. So there's very little incentive. As a community, we have that as a value. So it is important for us to solve, but it may not be that way out of the gate. The last thing I'll address, because I think where people's intuition goes, if they know a little bit about the space, is atomic cross swaps. Atomic cross swaps work. Trustless atomic cross swaps work. So isn't this like that, where one party is just a contract, and its part of the swap is minting these sort of hologram coins, and then it's part of the swap in the other direction is that you annihilate those coins. That's noticed, and then the contract on the other side releases the real coins. Unfortunately, this model doesn't work because the scheme when it's two people is I lock coins with a password, and then I give the other person the encrypted password. They lock coins using that encrypted password, which is what I wrote to the blockchain also, is the encrypted password. And then when I go collect their coins,
He means hash,
I
by the way.
provide the plain text password, which hashes or encrypts to the same encrypted password. It gives me the coins. Because that's on chain, now the other person has the plain text password. They go to my chain, they provide the plain text password because it had to be publicly disclosed. They get the coins. Doesn't that work? It works with two people, because two people or agents that can run clients and see both chains have access to the canonical data for both chains, so they can see what has been done in public themselves. Contracts, which is what we need to be trustless, you need a contract, you need code that executes in the context of a chain, does not have a client to the other chain. That's where we get back to, well, but it can consult a light client, an approver on its own chain, but then who supplies the data to the light client? And you're back to how do you solve that with a protocol, or you have a trusted party that can write that data to the light client. So
I think that's what that's what layer 0 is, because they have light nodes, so that would make sense. And I think the way they get around that is that, well, not around it, but the way they are solving that problem is that you as a developer, because you as a developer can create your own oracle and relayer, that trust comes back to you, rather than it being a protocol level oracle and relayers. It comes down, and as a user, it's about you would then be having, I guess, trust in whatever your protocol you're using. As instead of protocol wide, whatever thing you're using on their protocol in order to do the cross chain swaps. Yeah. So they're kind of like,
realistic. Let's just be realistic about this. It's not something that the average person is going to go and do, run their own oracle, run their own relayer. Yeah. It is not a feasible thing. So unless there's something that they've worked out, you're always going to need to trust someone. And if you're always going to need to trust someone, then you might as well trust like a bridge that you deem to be trustworthy.
I guess that's the other option, I suppose, yeah.
But it's interesting that's like it's interesting that they're trying to solve this issue, but it's a very, very difficult issue to solve, especially with a smart contract platform, as I understand it.
I mean, I guess if it does come down, it takes a lot of the risk out. If you're, for instance, like if you're going to use something like USDC, which is backed by the company USDC, and if USDC has deployed on Ethereum, but they've also deployed on whatever, Polygon or something, then you know that getting USDC on Polygon, you can take that and get US dollars through the Polygon network into USDC. So then if you want to swap between Ethereum USDC and Polygon USDC, it kind of takes out the need for an oracle for that token, because you don't need to know a price, do you? You just need to know that you're getting the same amount of tokens.
Yeah. It's look, I'm just reading some of the comments. AJ from EMP Money. Hang on. I don't know who that is. Was talking about cross-chain being safer than bridges. I would look. I don't know, but I think it's fair to say that, like, it's too early to be saying like any of that.
It's hard to assess the risk as well, isn't it? Like, to say this is how much more risky is this than that. Like, I guess with bridges, you're relying on some people to be running those transactions to get it across. Like, you need a certain amount of people to come in to verify it for it to go or whatever. But I think with the protocol kind of cross-chain swaps, like if you do it all automated with bridges, then you're putting that trust in the oracle rather than in the validator of the bridges.
Yeah, I agree with, like, cross-chain swaps. Yeah, they're definitely coming. They're definitely coming. I mean, it's where do you put, yeah, until things are like, I'm very pragmatic when it comes to this sort of stuff. So even if a dev is telling me that something is amazing and it is the way to go, I'm pragmatic. I want to see runs on the board, so to speak. I want to see something working for a period of time, because everything's great until there's a hack. Everything's great until there's a hack.
That's maybe what it'll be as well, is like these things will go on, and the ones that survive, and the longer they survive, people will have more trust in them.
Yeah.
And so that's what people will use, probably. Hey,
what's going on, Claz?
I mean, it is much easier now to do all of this cross-chain stuff, though. That's for sure. And people are doing it. People are using them
out there. Like, for example, I'm not sure if you've seen this. Have you seen this? ThorSwap.
I heard about ThorSwap, yeah, but I watched a couple of videos on it a while ago. Yeah, that's an Australian guy who has actually.
So the good thing about what's good about this one is it's even good for like larger amounts. So if you put in, let's say, not that this is, it's just larger amounts. Traditionally, you would need to go to an exchange. Otherwise, you just have to eat a bunch of slippage, right? But here, what they've got is and there's a video that explains how it works. I don't know on the technical side of it exactly what's going on. I assume there's trust involved. Any cross-chain swap, I assume that there's trust involved. But here, if you've got like the short one is like an hour and 50 minutes for 10 BTC. And you get 148, almost 149 ETH. You almost get 10 ETH more if you do the price optimized one. And that's what's new about this, is that there's these things called streaming swaps that automatically split the quote into smaller sub swaps executed over a longer period of time, delivering better rates. completes as a single transaction. So currently with that, if you use that and the price changes in between those smaller swaps, then you just have to eat the difference. Like you just have to cop it.
Yeah.
But I think what they're working on is that it can start the swap, and if halfway through you don't like where the price is going, you can, and we're not talking about the price that you're moving it by swapping. We're talking about like just the market price, because some of these swaps, if it's a large enough amount, let's just put in 100 BTC, for example, we're talking 5 hours. If we put in 1,000, we're talking a day, and there's a big difference between your immediate one. Well, actually, there's only 1 hour difference between the two, isn't there? Or half an hour difference. So you definitely go this one. It's like 10x the number of ETH for an extra half an hour.
That's a lot of Bitcoin you're swapping there, though. That's
yeah. That's a lot. But just to show you that now these larger, it's allowing a larger dollar value for swaps without going to an exchange, because traditionally that would be an OTC for people. That would be an OTC deal for people. So that's what's being developed now. That's what's out there. So interesting stuff. I mean, you brought up this is like Zenify basically, but they aggregate it in the back, in the background. So it's a cross-chain aggregator.
Right. So they're going off a number of different dexes, are they? Or
I believe so. Yeah, I believe so. That's I just watched the video that they've got on their YouTube, and it just explains it briefly.
They had a hack a while ago as well, though, didn't they? Like, I remember ThorChain there was some hack on that. And it's funny.
Might have been a while back that there was a
hack.
It was
a while back. And it's funny with that, because on the one hand you think, oh, it's been hacked, but then there's also, it's kind of like a double-edged sword, because it means, oh, now they know about that vulnerability now, and they can fix that vulnerability. So on the one sense, you kind of go, well, that it has a history that it's been hacked, and so is it good? But then on the other hand, well, that means
it's better than it was.
It's not going to happen again, Yeah.
Well, that exact exploit shouldn't happen again, you would have thought. But I mean, this is the nature of what Bitcoin has gone through.
Yeah,
to some extent, it's what the PulseX has just gone through. To some extent, because that's something that's needed to be upgraded. As a result of it not being the way.
Well, someone was actually like getting like pulse out of that. They got 1 billion pulse or something, didn't they? Did you see Dipcatcher's tweets?
Yeah, I think so.
Someone was exploiting that, and so I mean, you could call that a hack.
Well, I mean, and even if ThorChain was hacked, which I've just seen ThorChain got hacked many times by Stizzy Jones.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, got hacked many times. I think the fact that like you're doing a cross-chain swap, and let's say you're going from BTC to Ethereum, and that's happening in 10 minutes. It's like, how much exposure are you actually having to ThorChain, if any? Like how much? Like I would argue very little. It's like the same like when you go to a regular exchange.
Yeah, in and out. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just like you sort of in and out. Yeah. So
unless you're a liquidity provider, and then you're probably obviously taking more risks.
Yeah, let's have a look at what would be a regular trade for the average person, or what would let's just say 0.2 Bitcoin. Like let's just say, I don't know if this is the average person or not. Let's just say 5K, right?
Yeah. How much is it going to cost you? $21.
Is there any reason this is not
going
giving
to
me?
Ethereum?
Okay. If
It's
it's
not, right, it's not worth doing the other way if it's not enough. If it's only 0.2, huh?
yeah, there's no difference basically between the
Right.
two. But
What if
that
you go-
takes about 20 minutes.
What if you're going the other way?
Ethereum,
Yeah.
that should take. Oh, that's quicker. That's 9 minutes. And I'm assuming it takes so long on the Bitcoin side because they're waiting for confirmations.
And it looks like the fee is like in proportion to how much it is rather than kind of like a gas fee, huh?
There would probably be gas fees on the other side because you just, yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Or those gas fees would be included in that price, and then it's also like it'd be a gas fee plus a percentage to pay to the liquidity providers or whatever.
Yeah, yeah. But these guys, unfortunately, they don't have Pulse Chain.
Yeah, neither does Layer Zero, I noticed.
I mean, it's early days for all that stuff. And if they're EVM, like
it's possible. It's obviously possible if all of these other you look at all the other chains they have, and it's like, well, obviously you could.
If it's going to work on EVMs, then you would think it's going to be very. I'm not going to say easy, but you would say it should be easier.
I mean, it's also about demand, isn't it? It's if there's enough demand for it to make it worthwhile for them to do.
And if you think about it, it would be only on the relayer side. Like if you're going, for example, Ethereum to Pulse Chain using layer 0, let's say hypothetically, then really it's only the relayer, because the Oracle side, which is getting the data from or getting the message from Ethereum, that's going to be the same no matter what. Like that data is going to be the same, and it's just the relayer which is passing it on is going to, I guess, be different for a different chain, for a different EVM. But I'm speaking out of turn. I really don't know. I'm making that assumption. Yeah. So, was there anything else that you wanted to bring up? Because we'll be back tomorrow with that. But yeah, I think Baseline suggested we should invite AJ on.
Well, let's have a look at Spark. Let's have a bit of a look over that.
What is Spark? Tell me.
I've no idea.
Is it Spark Swap?
Yeah, maybe we can check it out. I thought that was just. I mean, I saw someone say, I think it was Spark. I can't even remember, but it was just another. There was another one on Pulse Chain, and the Daytona one, and they just copied that or something. But I have no idea.
Spark Swap. Okay, so cross chain.
What's it? Is it Binance? Or?
Oh, BTCB. I've heard about this.
Where did I see that? Yeah. Is that Bitcoin on Binance, is it? BTCB, right.
BTCB. It has.
Hang on, that's not it. Baseline's just saying he sent you the link in Telegram. No, he sent it to me. No.
It's not sparkswap.finance. Okay, there you go. That's why you don't search Google for.
Yeah.
That is exactly why you don't search Google.
Yeah.
So, can you just tell me what the
I haven't got it.
the website is baseline, because I don't have access to my Telegram right now.
I've got it. Send it to me, or just put it on the Hedron or something. Baseline or
Spark Swap. Is that what it's called? Spark Swap.
maybe it's in Telegram. We can just search it in there. Hang on. Let's see if I can find it. Okay, here we go. I've got it now.
Pop it in the private chat and I'll
Yeah.
bring it up.
I've only got the Telegram. I haven't got a website for it.
Sparkswap.xyz.
Okay.
But what's the other one? The other one seems more legit than this.
Why can't I click that?
What's this one? Oh, this is for Pulse.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Let me just share this.
Okay. SparkSwap. What is it? Farm staking. That's just another DEX, is it? Or what? Oh, it's got a bridge as well. It's got a bridge.
It's got a bridge. Let's have a look at the bridge.
Okay. It looks like it could be the same people though that you were just looking at, because it's immediately gone to Binance chain. So it's Binance to Pulse basically.
Binance to Pulse.
Right.
Okay.
I haven't used Binance chain. I've used it like a little bit, like just to test stuff out on to go back and forth, but I haven't ever really used anything on Binance chain.
What's EMP?
No idea.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like it's ready.
Maybe that's their token, probably.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It doesn't seem like it's ready.
Oh yeah, it's got Binance EMP and Pulse Chain EMP. It's probably their token.
I mean, it might be working, but I don't know what EMP is.
Have they got what are their farms? Are their farms any interesting?
All right, so you can exchange stuff. No.
Spark, Pulse Exit, Pulse Die. Oh, that's just got a few farms up.
Yeah, I don't know. I know nothing about this.
Yeah, I mean. I mean, it's nice to have more competition. I quite like that, like.
Yep.
And then you have things like Piteus. Piteus is bloody awesome, actually, to be honest. Like,
that's just a DEX aggregate. That's a DEX aggregator, isn't it?
Like, they show you the path and stuff as well, and they have this thing against MEV bots. So I'm just a big fan of. I always check Piteus before I do any swap.
All right, Spark Swap. We'll have to keep an eye on this, hey, and see how that progresses. So, what was the other one that you're talking about? You were saying Piteus.
Piteus.io, yeah, that's just like the DEX aggregator, but it's nice because it shows you the routing and so you can.
It shows you the routing.
Yeah, and it's nice if like Sparks, they can add things like Spark Swap, because if
this has a bridge as well.
Does it?
Bridge. Deposit tokens to Pulse Chain now. Official Pulse Chain bridge.
Oh, that is probably link you to the bridge. Yeah, that's just a link to the official bridge.
Oh, right. Okay. So what can we
like, I wanted to find out where I could get some Maxi, and like, because I was thinking Maxi's probably got LP pools across a few different swaps, like especially like mainly Fux and Pulse X. So I was like, okay, when am I going to get the best price for buying Maxi? Or I was helping a person out, and I thought this person probably made me.
Do you know what the issue I'm finding? I'm maybe it's on Fux.io, or is it? Maybe it's there, but if I look here, it doesn't seem like there's that much liquidity on Pulse Chain, for example.
For Maxi, man.
Yeah, for Maxi. There's quite a few liquidity, but there's
But
like
that's why.
five,
Yeah.
$4,000. So if there's like not many. There's, so I mean, there's this one which is $4,000. This one, I don't. I think there'd be a lot of slippage. But if we go to, your way around Fox.
Yeah.
If you can just see here, there's very little liquidity on Dex Screener.
I'll just go to Bateus because that shows you the route. So that draws from a number of these different pools. So let's say you want to buy. Let's just do this. Go back to the Bateus, and let's say you want to buy $10,000 worth of Maxi.
I've made it $1 million Maxi.
Oh well, you're not going to get. I mean, that's just you're not going to get any good deals. That's not that much liquidity, I don't think. Oh, it'd be interesting to see what it comes up with though.
8. Oh, you can't see it. There we go. It's actually.
Now let's go the opposite way around. Let's say you want to buy Maxi.
Yeah.
So you want to buy 10 grand worth of Maxi, and then if you hover over the show route, it shows you all the pools that it would use.
Okay, so it's using. Okay, that's cool. That is cool. So it says here -3%. So is that in your favor? No.
You're actually making money. That's what I found, because when I was like said to her, because I wanted her to go Pulse to Maxi, and I found that for the amount I was actually making money just by buying it, because you're kind of arbing it, I guess.
No, you're not actually.
No,
not on this.
What if you go Pulse to Maxi?
So if I go $100, right? Look how much Maxi I get. I get 8,463. So this is a positive. This is in your favor.
Yeah,
right?
that's you're getting more than what you pay for.
$100 is in your favor.
Yeah.
$1,000 is still in your favor. $10,000 is 3.67% against you.
Oh, okay. That's a slippage.
Yeah, because it would be 830 something or 840,000 Maxi. Because that's, if you look here, you just shift that decimal place over a couple of times if it maintained that same exchange. But because you add a couple, it drops down to 801 instead of 84 something.
Yeah, because there's not much liquidity. Yeah. Yeah, it's tricky with all those Maxi and stuff, because people don't want to sell it for too cheap, and so they're not giving it as liquidity, and so that means it's going to have low liquidity. I mean, I guess if the demand was really there, then people would be buying regardless. But because there's so much slippage, people are not really putting too much into it and so it's like there's this weird kind of like conundrum with low liquidity, where on the one hand low liquidity to a point is good for price, because if there's demand, but it's really dependent on if the demand is there and if people are really competing for that to get that token. And then, but if the price is low and there's like, who's going to give liquidity to just give their tokens away cheaply,
Yeah, that's a good point.
And it's the same. It's the same with all of the like Poly. It's the same with a lot of those hex perpetuals. They're kind of in a similar position where the team aren't providing liquidity, so it ends up like being dependent on people, and that's the same with many things. But it's probably the same with with Hex as well. It's just that a lot more people are providing liquidity on Hex, and same with them. Like
there are protocols now where you can wrap it in an NFT. You can just take a token and wrap it in an NFT, right? And then you can just sell that NFT as an OTC deal
on a marketplace.
But on the marketplace, it's not great because then you're going to pay like an unfavorable percentage. You might as well eat the slippage on a trade, if you know what I mean. The whole point of selling OTC is that you wouldn't want to pay 2%.
Yeah, OTC only really works if you know the person in real life and you say, I'll sell you this for this. And you just arrange to do it.
No. You want trustless OTC, right? So I'll give you an example. On Ethereum, there's a protocol called X2Y2, I think, .io. I think that's what it is. And it's you can buy and sell NFTs, but you can put it for sale at a zero. If you specify the buyer address, that the owner of that address can come along and purchase it if you specify it. Like you can specify a private sale.
You've made that arrangement with that person outside of the marketplace.
Yes, but you can actually affect that agreement on chain.
Yeah.
And then they and then they can just come along and buy it at the price you agreed on if they want it. If they don't want it, they just don't buy it, right? But you say, oh, look, this is where I wrapped this NFT. That's what's in it. You know, you can basically show everything on chain and then sell it to them at 0% commission.
Right. That's pretty cool.
That is cool, dude. 0% commission for, because then it's a proper NFT. Because if you have to eat slippage.
So how do the people who are like providing the website and who have made all of the stuff, how are they kind of?
Well, they make because they know that is such a small percentage of what's going on. Most people go to those sites to find a buyer.
Yeah.
So they're leveraging off the idea that, look, there's not going to be that many people who use this.
Mm-hmm.
It's like an extra added bonus for people who use it.
Basically. Yeah.
Yeah, because it's like that's always irked me, like the fact that if you want to, do something like that, like you might want to transfer something to your own trust, right? Let's say from your personal ownership to a trust, and there's just
in a way it's kind of like a privacy thing as well, hey? Although it'll be on chain, but. So people will be able to track it, but if it goes through that website, it will look like you've just sold it to somebody else.
And the reason, but the reason you might do that with the trust is because you just want to keep everything, like you want to have a record of it on chain that it's happened, so that no one can come back later and say, hey, you didn't do this right. If you've got like a record of everything on chain, then you're sweet.
I mean, you could just send it to the other address though, couldn't you? Like, why would you need to exchange it?
Because they would need to purchase it.
Yeah, but I mean, why would you be transferring it to your own trust? Maybe we shouldn't get into that.
Why would you be? Because when the whole purpose of trusts usually is for asset protection.
Yeah.
Right. So when you own stuff personally, then people can sue you.
Sell it to your trust. You wouldn't have to sell it to your own trust.
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly.
Yeah.
I guess it depends the situation. It depends the situation that you're in. But yeah,
that's. I think the main. I mean, I guess we're going to talk to Dylan about fiat tomorrow. But like, to me, the main kind of use case for fiat is for tax reasons. And other than that, I don't really see why anyone would use it. Well, that and flash loans, if you want to get into all of that kind of shenanigans.
Well, this is the fiat. This is the fiat website here. So I'm don't know about this stuff, but there's stuff that's borrowed. I can see here a column for borrowed.
Yeah, you can borrow. So you can, like, instead of selling it, you can just borrow. But it's kind of like you have to put up the collateral anyway. So it just means that it's not a capital event because you're not
yeah.
buying or selling, you're borrowing. But you're still liable for it, and you're not doing it on leverage, so it's not really. I mean, and it means that you can do flash loans as well, I think. But that just and with flash loans, you don't need collateral because. But the thing is, this flash loan has to settle within one block. So
yeah, I've never done a flash loan, dude. So
me neither. I don't even know how people work it out. But like,
yeah, it's
I've
above
obviously
our
got
pay grade.
like
It's
fucking
not.
things that they're doing. But to me, it's like a little bit. Do we really want flash? I mean, they're going to use that to attack protocols in some way, I would think. Or I guess maybe you call it arbitrage. I don't know.
I mean, isn't this essentially? Isn't liquid loans going to be providing a similar type of
Yeah.
a similar thing? Yeah.
Yeah. Except they're going to have their own stable coin, whereas these guys have pools where people can.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, that's right. That's right. Did you hear about Uniswap?
Well, they
Let me
won.
bring this up.
Yeah.
Court sides with Uniswap over class action suit. The court said that concerns around unregistered securities were better addressed to Congress. Okay, a class action complaint against Uniswap was tossed on Tuesday, the 29th of August, after the judge found that some of the claims were devoid of factual support. That seems to be a common thread when we're talking about crypto.
Yeah.
Judge Catherine Polk Failla oversaw the case. She's also overseeing the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission's case against Coinbase and issued the ruling on the dismissal. Due to the protocol's decentralized nature, the identities of the scam token issuers are basically unknown and unknowable, leaving plaintiffs with an identifiable injury but no identifiable defendant, the judge wrote. She added that the plaintiffs launched the suit hoping that this court might overlook the fact that the current state of cryptocurrency regulation leaves them without recourse, but that does not allow them to blame Uniswap for their injury. There you go. I guess that is a positive for crypto. You don't want people who build.
I mean, it'd be ridiculous if people could sue Uniswap for rugs or whatever like that.
So do you know what's crazy about if they were to do something like that and start suing, trustless or permissionless protocols that
just leave the jurisdiction of the United States.
But ultimately, this is what would end up happening if that's the path that courts go down. What would happen is people would deploy contracts anonymously.
Yeah, overseas.
And then once they're deployed anonymously, you would not be able to track that person down. So it doesn't make sense for them to do it anyway, Yeah,
or they just do it in a place where the US doesn't have like the ability to, pull them in.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's probably prudent.
If
you're a dev, it's probably prudent to deploy your contracts anonymously. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, why wouldn't you do that anyway? Like, I mean, there's no kind of like advantage to like.
Yeah, like people seem to be getting persecuted for writing code and publishing it.
Yeah.
Which is the most ridiculous thing ever.
Yeah.
It's very ridiculous. Like I do understand like down the chain, I understand what the concerns are. Like, oh, this, then this, then this, then this, and then this. like I understand what the concerns
Yeah,
are,
but
but
it's ridiculous.
I don't
ban
think it's
cars because someone used a car to rob a bank. You don't ban
look.
you don't ban swimming pools because someone drowned.
And I mean, look, when you think about this, when you drive down the road, right, you're driving down the road, and most of the time you're centimeters away from a head on collision because there's a car driving in the opposite direction, headed your way, but just like half a meter to the side.
Yeah.
And we don't ban roads because of the risk.
Yeah.
If you think about it, like seriously, if you want to ponder that risk,
Yeah.
you're going to start driving in the other. Like if it's a 2-lane highway, you're not going to drive in the lane closest to the other car. You're going to move over, right? Just because of like if you ponder that risk too much. And the fact is that doesn't happen that often. I'm not going to say it never happens. I think it's going to happen. You can have people. Very rarely would someone do that on purpose, though. It's most likely going to happen by accident, or maybe someone's, in a bad way, or they have a stroke or something, and something like that happens. But it's not something that is a frequent occurrence. And I feel like when everything, like there's so many steps removed from that final act of, some sort of terrorist type act, like when they're trying to link someone writing code to that, it's so many steps away from that.
It's so ridiculous. Yeah. And a bank, all things could happen to your money in a bank, but you don't.
I understand where they're coming from, though. I understand, but I just don't feel like it has been. I mean,
I don't understand what they're doing.
I don't understand why. I feel like it's more about control. I come back to this idea of like, I feel like they're just trying to like use it as an excuse to control people.
Yeah.
Well, that's
what they're not going to get their tax revenue. But it's kind of like, I mean, for years and years and years, like tax was all based on trust as well. Like if you really wanted to evade it, you like in 1970, you probably could. You'd do your cash work, and a lot of people probably did that. And how much they reported is how much they reported. And it's like, so that's been happening for centuries, But then all of a sudden, because there's the ability to digitize it and to track it, now we have to go hardcore on knowing everything about everyone at all times. Like,
yeah. Well, I mean, look, I believe that we need to pay taxes. I really do. Otherwise,
I believe the government should be a service, and they should provide a good service. And if they're not providing a good service, they should not do it.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's not how it works, hey? That's not my experience.
They're meant to be the servants of the people. That's how.
No. That's not how a lot of. That's not how a lot of people who are. Do you know? I was having this thought. Like, I've got a couple of thoughts about, and we're going to finish off on this because I've got to actually head off. But you know how I've got that thought that like laws should expire. They should have some basic like set of laws that never expire, like some basic ones, like you're not allowed to kill people, not allowed to do this, and like some basic ones that never go away. And then you have ones that like expire every 2 or 3 years, and they have to like be voted back in to continue. I think I've lost what I was. I've lost what it was. It will come back to me. It may not be in this stream because we've got to wind it up. But when it comes back to me, I'll mention it. One thing that I heard that was, I think it was. I'm not sure who said it, but like one of those billionaires said that government deficits would not happen if politicians couldn't go for re-election if they were above a certain, let's say if the
They spent too much. If they
If
spent
their
more than they said they would.
if government debt was more than, let's say, 5%, they weren't eligible for re-election.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
That would be
Didn't they just print it all, didn't they?
which is what they're doing anyway now.
Yeah, printing and taxing.
No,
Like,
but they went. Hang on. When we say printing it, they do it in the form of debt.
yeah, well, that's all it can be.
Yeah, but it's like they do it in the form of debt.
Yeah.
So they are like, that's why it doesn't work for them to just. It's not like they're just printing it and using it. They're like issuing debt. Like they've got to pay it back. What they're
Yeah, but they're not going to. Like, it's impossible to pay.
when I say they've got to pay it back, we have to pay it back. Like the people have to pay it back with our taxes. Like that's they collect the taxes and they have to pay it back. We have to pay it back anyway.
No, you pay it back through like that. It's the interest, like it gets loaned to the banks, and then the banks loan it out to us, and we pay them back with interest, and then they pay that back. But also, they do really weird things, like in Australia, like the reserve, the central bank lends out to the banks, and the banks put it back into there to earn interest, and so they just get a free $6 billion a year for doing nothing, literally, and shit like that. Like, it's just,
yeah. It's like almost like an incentive because they're public companies. It's like an incentive. What it is, it's like an incentive for people to invest in that. And it's like, oh, hey, we've got this rort going on. Invest in our banks in Australia because we have this rort where our banks get money for almost nothing and then lend it back and make all this free money. Yeah, it's like a reason for people to invest in. Yeah, I agree with this. There is no accountability with debt now. Yeah, there's no accountability for governments, at least. And terms are so short, and not that they should be longer, but people are in there for so there is no accountability because, like, for example, in Victoria here, we've got a premier who's like racked up a lot of debt over the last few years. And when he leaves office, he just leaves office. It's like
with a nice big pension and
yeah, he's gonna
job somewhere.
And look, I don't even have a problem with them getting a pension. I think I really do believe if you do a hard job for a long time, there should be some benefit to it long term. Yeah,
A ridiculous amount of money.
The problem is that he could do a terrible job, and because they're great marketers and they've fooled everyone into voting him back in, like a couple of times, then they feel like they've got the right to go spend all that money, and they've done it.
Yeah.
And what they're doing is they're putting a lot of pressure on the future Victorians. It's putting a lot of pressure. But anyway, I've got to go, mate. Thanks for coming. I hope to see you tomorrow if you're free to come along. It will be.
I'll give it a go. I'll give it a go. I'm just I'll probably be out at a cafe, and so I don't know if I don't know how the sound will be.
You don't have to use a video. Like, if you don't want to use video, don't use video. It might be better.
It's the audio that's the problem. Like, the internet won't be a problem. It'll just be like I'll try to find a good cafe which doesn't have too much sound. But if there's background sound, it might.
Make sure you use a VPN, my friend.
Why? I've got one of those. Yeah, I don't probably know.
You need a VPN for a cafe. Hang on. Unless you're using your own.
No, I've got my own Wi-Fi thing.
Okay. Yeah, gotcha. That's cool then. Yeah. All right. No worries. Catch everyone later. Cheers.
Yeah.
Thanks, mate.